Today we are talking about why Doctor Who Season 1 failed.
And I think that's it. I think we are going to say it failed.
Yeah.
I'd be curious as a returning Who head and as a committed Who head, it's failed for us. And I'd be interested if this really has grabbed at the younger audience the same way the initial Davies era did and the Moffat-Matt Smith era that kind of grabbed the Tumblr girl era.
That was their main goal. They wanted to pick up the new followers. Unsure if that's because they already knew that they lost the old ones or whether the new people are the ones that buy more merchandise or like just give you more money.
Yeah, because I can't help but feel a little bit George Lucas-y prequel-y at the moment, where I'm sure everyone was very thrilled at the time when it was like George Lucas is writing, directing the prequel film. And I think when it was announced that Russell would be returning, I was mostly very pleased. I was like, great.
It's more exciting thinking David Tennant's back and the writer that brought it back originally. Like, he seemed like almost a safe
It sounds
bet.
like a palate cleanser, small reboot type vibe.
Yeah, it's like soft reboot.
Yeah,
the way we were talking about it, we're like, we'd be happy if he just redid what he did with Rose and Series 1. But he kind of did in a lot of episodes. Like, he took a lot of those Series 1 DNA bits and bobs, but then he's made them worse. Space Babies is half the time it's a shot-for-shot remake of End of the World. The entire season is less than. It doesn't have any character tension, which we've been harping on to. A lot of people have finally caught on to the fact that there's no character tension.
Yeah, I'm quite smug that, back in Christmas episode we were going,
They're best friends really quick.
They're best friends really quick. But, Russell knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll work out fine. And
we gave him a lot of, like, oh, he'll figure it out. Like, we trust him.
We were playing Ncuti and Millie as opposed to Doctor and Ruby. And I was like, they don't actually know each other. They're not going to be besties immediately. And I was like, oh, yeah.
We both have experience on film sets and at least also studying film. And I understand that things happen on the day, things change, scenes get cut. So I respect, obviously, the craft of being a showrunner and developing a TV show, but it really did feel like he dropped the ball. And we've been saying that there's a better version of this show, and as you pointed out, the better version,
it's Series 1,
is the original Season 1 of Christopher Eccleston. Yeah,
fantastic.
It makes me think that a showrunner shouldn't also be a writer. Like, a showrunner should have an overall vision, but he shouldn't be writing every single episode. And here, the only 2 episodes he didn't write are widely considered to be the best 2 episodes of the season.
Particularly ones that involve the Doctor and yes.
They seem to actually show his character rather than RTD has what it is in his head. Like, he seems to keep cutting things that would help a lot.
He seems to hold a lot of it in his head, yeah.
He's cut a lot out. Like, there was one scene in the finale where he was supposed to say, I love you to Ruby to show that he's grown, because we were talking a lot about how it seems like he's putting on a bit of a facade, not showing his feelings, considering he's supposed to be the Doctor that went through therapy.
Kind of Ebbs, the Season 3 Doctor, where he's pretending for Martha.
Yes, whereas here, they filmed him saying, I love you to Ruby, not to her face. He said it later on. He said it to the console. So after she left, he was like, oh, I love you. Probably should have said it to her face, considering this is the girl with abandonment issues. Not issues, though, because she has no character tension. She loves everyone. But they just cut that.
I'm not going to, because I never want to be someone who goes, oh, he's social justice warrior, got in the way here. But it's weird where Russell has decided to draw the line, like the TARDIS needs to look like a Foxtel remote because we can't have people thinking they're guns. But then we're also going to have a 13-year-old boy have a gun in his Segway.
And UNIT is happy to hire a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, but also Davros has to have legs now.
There's a version of this show where Ruby is just a straight orphan with no family whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the reason why her and the Doctor click is because they both feel alone. And then at the end of this, she finds her parents and then he's still alone.
Yes. In an interview, he says that the Timeless Child revelation will carry through into this season. The only real thing is that they're both orphans.
That's it.
But always the Doctor always felt like an orphan because the Doctor never fit in. The Doctor never belonged. So technically that would have worked without the Timeless Child. The only thing the Timeless Child has given us is that he definitely was an orphan. Oh wait, okay, a foundling. His parents could be alive.
If you want to give layers and you just want to rip yourself off, just have it be Ncuti is still kind of... He's burying it under the I'm all good, I'm all fine, but Gallifrey got blown up again. Oh God, I'm still alone. How many times can I do this?
But it seems like he wants to do his idea of Doctor Who now, which was a good thing back in the day. But his idea of Doctor Who now is it should just be silly, light fun. It shouldn't really have anything hard-hitting until all of a sudden it does have something super hard-hitting and socially like Dot and Bubble.
Then have it be 8 episodes of falling in a place, solving a problem, going home. Like, have it be that then.
It should have been, but that's the thing. It's like, it seems incongruous with what he wants and what he ended up giving us. There's an interview where he says the mystery that they bring forward of Ruby Sunday, which ended up being an absolute big wet fart. Like,
sadly,
the way he talks about it is it's storytelling in the internet age. Like, it's purposely making mystery to drum up hype. It's kind of like what Lost did to a degree, where it's like, it's a bunch of mystery, but turns out it's nothing.
Westworld is another example.
Yeah, but with those, it's built into the story, whereas here, a lot of the actual intrigue and excitement comes from interviews that he's done. So it's like he's relying on other mediums to talk up this main medium, which is then in turn building its own content. He even says the words...
And was that deliberate?
Yes, you just hope it'll generate content.
He's doing this mystery to drum up excitement, not because it's a good mystery.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, there was no big fan going, who's Ruby's parents, the same way we're wondering who the Man in Black is in Westworld,
Yes.
or who's Jon Snow's parents, or in Game of Thrones or something.
And it's inconsequential. The reason it's inconsequential is because he really did like The Last Jedi. He liked the idea that the person we drummed up to be someone was nothing. But the difference is we drummed up Rey because she was someone.
She's doing something special.
Yes, she is definitely doing things special. So that's where the mystery comes from. She was going to be someone, and then turns out later on in episode 9 she is someone. But that's the thing. She's built up organically to be someone because she was going to be, and then they rug pulled to not be anyone. We didn't place the importance on her for no reason. Like, we were given a reason. And that's why some people actually like the fact that she's no one. Whereas with Ruby being no one makes no sense, because then you get the ominous things like the dramatic 15-year-old in a mystery cloak turning around and
Or
pointing.
her floating and singing in the Maestro episode.
The Maestro says there's a hidden song in her. Multiple gods refer to Ruby as a creature.
And then that was weird fourth wall breaking, which I guess was just the Maestro working her magic.
Completely separate.
Yeah, because you on about weird theory that...
Everyone for a while thought that the whole season was in a TV show because Mrs. Flood was a watcher of the TV show.
That is a theory that she maybe is the god of stories or something.
Yep.
Yeah. But all that didn't go anywhere either.
Nope.
Like, we're told that He Who Waits was waiting on the TARDIS, and he's the one they've all been talking about.
Other fans have said it, we've said it. There's a lot of ways to do your Sutekh mystery in a good way, where Sutekh echoes back through time because he was found in Wild Blue Yonder when they hit the edge of the universe and he breaks out the gods. Whereas the Toymaker says, my legions are coming.
Yeah.
The only legion that is his, first off, we see one other legion apart from Sutekh. That one other legion is Maestro, who is the Toymaker's offspring. But then Sutekh seems unrelated. Russell needs to be banned from interviews. Russell says that
Sutekh actually wasn't a god of death in the past. He was an Assyrian. Those 50 years in the time vortex and the arrival into the universe of the Pantheon of gods has kind of evolved Sutekh to become the head of that Pantheon.
so Russell can't even explain why Sutekh is a god now.
But wasn't... When the Toymaker was talking about how he tricked the Master and did all that, but then is it Sutekh he refers to as the one he didn't go near?
Yes. He Who Waits.
So it's so stupid.
He didn't dare.
Because
There's no reason the Toymaker wouldn't have been able to mess up Sutekh's entire stuff, considering you can put him on a leash.
Yeah, I think there's a large problem with criticism online because it's like it's the easy ball, it's the open goal. You see a lot with Star Wars it's woke media, it's because of lesbian...
Space witches.
You know, like we've seen in the comments here, Doctor Who's too woke now. If it would have been better if it wasn't woke. And we've said it's been woke forever.
But also, there's almost nothing woke about anything that's happened.
There's nothing woke. If you think because the Doctor is a gay black man now and Maestro was a trans woman and you think that's inherently political and is a problem, then that is your problem. It's not a problem at all.
So the season as a whole, right? So
Yeah.
there's no real memorable bad guys. So we basically fight AI a bunch and we fight slugs.
Which
the
is
only really
really
mean person
disappointing.
is Ap Gwilliam, who is
Just
a politician.
regular dude.
Well, he's a bad politician. So your options for bad guys are slugs or a bunch of different AIs. Oh, and then Maestro. But again, Maestro was the Pantheon, who is probably the most interesting bad guy.
Remember, like Doctor used to be toys. You used to have
Yes.
the David Tennant toys. You've got some of them around
Yeah,
here.
you'd think Disney would want to be able to make marketable stuff. You'd think they'd want to be able to make those cards.
You think they'd be going, can you get the Daleks in?
Yeah.
Oh, like, let's get some Disney Daleks.
There's no way
going.
we don't get them in season 2.
Oh, there's no way now. But then it's amazing that he made the same mistake as Chibbers. Like, Chibbers wanted to kind of go back to the old historical vibe. He
Yes.
kind of had a vision. And it seems here Russell's vision was, fantasy stuff.
The fantasy aspect of the season as a whole hurt it majorly, in my opinion.
I wouldn't have known if he didn't say.
Exactly. That's why. He didn't bother going into it enough. And the reason it's fantasy is because he didn't want to explain anything. He didn't want to actually come up with clever reasons. It's not this happens, so this happens. This season is just, I've decided this is going to happen and I'm not going to tell you why.
Yeah, I think if you want to shorten it all down to, it's the heart of the problem is, we've talked about it forever, it's the Doctor and his companion.
Who are the only things that we see. Like, they're the main point.
Yeah, they're the only thing that flows through, because Doctor Who is, typically it's a Monster of the Week thing. There might be some background BC plot like the Sutek stuff or some character stuff, but it's also, you should be able to turn on any episode of Doctor Who and be involved. So I'm aware that maybe Russell's looking around and seeing the popular shows are the ones that are continuous stories, like your Bridgertons, your Game, your House of the Dragons.
He wanted to emulate the MCU for sure, because he wants his Whoniverse.
Yeah, they talk about this, the Whoniverse, but I don't think Doctor Who is necessarily built for that. And it's funny though, I
think
say
it
that
does,
because
he's done it.
roughly,
he did it before.
He did do it. He did it in a small amount of time. And
well, that's the thing, it's almost like he's exhausted it. He did Torchwood and he did Sarah Jane, which kind of came after he had already done a bunch of work. Like, it's like he put in the legwork for Torchwood. Torchwood ended up being a big thing because you keep going back to Cardiff, you have the big Canary Wharf invasion. Turns out there's a big rift there now. Like, Sarah Jane was more kid friendly, Torchwood was more adult, and then Doctor Who was that middle spot. The bridging family drama.
So they all kind of ticked a box each, and then I know it wasn't him, but I never watched Class, which was doing the Capaldi run.
Class was bad to begin with, but good by the end, and then it got cancelled because no one watched it.
No one watched it. The one thing I thought I wouldn't have a problem with would be Ncuti. I was in the back of I was interested that Howard Russell write a third Doctor. I mean, I'm not sure how many showrunners. Yeah, how many times in Doctor Who's history has a showrunner wrote 3 Doctors? I don't know. Because with Moffat, the 11th Doctor is partly, it's Moffat finally writing the Doctor he's always wanted to write, and then the actor always brings something to it, and I was left here going, did Ncuti bring anything to this?
Babes.
Like what did Ncuti bring other than...
Babes and crying.
My favourite moment from his Doctor is the Christmas special, him running on the roof going, who sees a ladder and just climbs on it, like, yeah, I'll give that a go, babes. And that's my favourite moment from him, and that we haven't built anything from it, where... My thing has always been the Doctor should own the room they're in. And maybe you want to do something different, but David's Doctor was so good at walking a room, having some good lines, and being incredibly cool to a younger Stephen who wanted to emulate him.
He needed a standout feature. Like, the reason Moffat worked really well writing 11 and 12 is because they're so different. Like, 11 is very childlike, 12 is very stern. I think Ncuti could have been like the charming Doctor. 10 was a nerd and he needed you to know that he's smarter than you.
Yeah.
Like, he was very much like, I'm smart and then you're all stupid compared to me. Whereas this one could charm a room.
Exactly.
Like, there's a lot you could do with it.
A charm, yes.
Because that's to me, every interview, Ncuti's charming as hell.
It's true.
It's weird that it lacks the drama stuff, considering that is what RTD brought to it. Like the family soapy drama.
Which is where you might say that Moffat was lacking a little bit in. But he had the big concepts and the big sci-fi stuff.
That's why I do like Moffat better, because I love my sci-fi concepts. Whereas, we thought, at least, Russell was very good at the family drama.
It turns out he was just good at selecting good writers that he could. And maybe he was stretched too thin, like it's...
But it's all he's doing. But the old seasons would let a lot more writers in. We looked through, and season 1 was written by Robert Shearman and
Mark Gatiss,
Moffat.
But then when you get into season 2 and 3, you get a lot of various, like, I write a Doctor Who book, so I've been brought in.
He gives people a go.
Neil Gaiman gave it a go during the Moffat era. You kind of had these guest writer spots.
Neil Gaiman has one of the best episode with the Doctor's wife.
Yeah.
The Nightmare in Silver was lacking for a lot of reasons, even though it was a 2-parter. But
the fact that he had guys coming in with the big swings.
Moffat got a 2-parter in series 1.
If I was a showrunner for Star Wars, I'd have a rule like written on the board going, would people watch this if it wasn't Star Wars?
Yes.
Would people watch this if it wasn't Doctor Who?
Not even a little bit.
Exactly.
It doesn't have the interesting sci-fi concepts in almost anything, because again, we have the Bridgerton episode, we have the Black Mirror episode, we have him standing on a landmine is the most interesting sci-fi concept, but that could be a wartime drama. And I'm 90% sure there is a Polish movie about two guys and one of them stands on a landmine, whereas the rest of them were just very nothingness.
Yeah, so I was watching it because it was Doctor Who. I might have packed it in the same way I packed it in with Jodie. I watched a few episodes because it was Doctor Who, but then eventually went, I actually don't feel the need to watch this.
Just never looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then towards the end, it was like, oh, we best just get this out of the way. So I'm watching it as soon as it dropped in the morning just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And there was nothing keeping me coming back. Like, I was so sure that Ncuti would be a shoo-in. I thought he was such a amazing. I still think he's an amazing choice. And I think with maybe different writers and having, I think it's not him to blame, like we might say with Jodie. He didn't exactly have much to work with. And maybe the reason why he teared up so much was because he thought,
he needed
I have
to bring
do something.
Yeah.
Because he's not funny.
True, if
he's
he didn't
not
cry,
charming.
what's he doing?
He's just kind of nice and caring, is how I would describe him.
He's nice.
Nice. He's nice. But then isn't that the lamest thing ever? He's nice. Where with Matt Smith, immediately you got this kooky professor in a young man's body.
It has no character season arc. Like, Ruby doesn't grow in any way. She just gets her mum back. Doctor doesn't grow in any way because he did all his healing.
But he didn't, though, because it ends with him crying because he's alone.
That's true. He cries a lot.
So then it annoys me because I'm like, you can't turn around and go, I healed. They had an indeterminate amount of time resting.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be... to me, I don't know what this Doctor is doing. With the end of David Tennant's season, it was he's alone, Rose is gone. So we're left going, what's going to happen with this Doctor? And then I think that's what they're trying to do with this one. We're meant to go, what's going to happen with the Doctor? He's all by himself. He's got
back.
Ruby with him anymore.
They even show her in the preview for the next episode.
Yeah, it is stupid. And I can't find anything about this season that makes me go, I want to rewatch that. They're not even the good episodes. I feel the need to rewatch them.
Yeah, there's no great concepts and there's no great character.
So great execution. And so when it's one of these things where it's so bad it makes you go, oh, I'll watch the Wasp episode again. I'll watch the Gridlock again. Like these episodes that are...
Yeah, I love Gridlock.
But that's the thing. Gridlock, and then you watch those old ones. Gridlock, it's good, sure, good episode. But at the end, the big highlight is where he sits down and tells Martha, here's who I am and here's why I was pretending. And that was something that was building up to from the last 2 or 3 episodes.
But you also get You Are Not Alone out of that episode. You get Face a Bow Chat, and you also get the fun concept of even just drug stickers, but then everyone living out their entire lives in traffic trying to get from point A to point B. That's a lot of fun. And then you get the Doctor being adventurous, jumping through things. You get a cheeky little reference to the Macra from Macra Terra, who are the crab things.
But then that's what I'm saying, that being a somewhat, at the time, it's just another Doctor Who episode.
Also, they get split up immediately.
So
you get to see Martha and how she handles herself.
Only happened in Bridgerton. And even then, it wasn't like...
it was for 10 minutes.
She's just kind of sitting around in a room talking with someone until she isn't.
So that's another main problem is, we lacking from that character tension. They're nothing together and they're nothing apart because we never see them apart.
There's no stress with the plots.
Minus 73 yards. 73 yards doesn't count because she just lives her life normally and then has a little coup. You can't just do that. You can't just have a little coup.
Not saying, I told you all along, but only now, the last episode or two, of a lot of these people went, actually, this wasn't that great at all.
It's interesting to see people turn on Russell. Even the biggest channels that follow them and that have loved every episode, they can't even come up with anything to love, despite they're not shilling, they're not getting paid, but they just love Doctor Who so much that everything Doctor Who does is good to them and that they'll find likes in anything. But even with this finale, they're struggling. They're not able to come up with much.
I want Doctor Who to do well because I just had this sense that if this doesn't work,
then it'll go away for a while.
Which it almost did, right? It nearly did with Jodie.
But it also might be a good thing.
Maybe that's it. Maybe Doctor...
it needs fresh blood, for sure.
I'm someone who's watched, 15, 16, 17 seasons Doctor Who. I've been a fan of it for 20 years, but that still doesn't mean I'm an old head yet.
Yeah.
So it's a long history, lots of various media forms it's covered.
Well, we were saying before, it's never had new blood. The showrunners have been Russell T Davies, the biggest fan Moffat, and then it's had Chris Chibnall, who was just RTD and Moffat's mate. I'm
not hating on Russell. He's an important part of Doctor Who history. We wouldn't be here talking about it if it wasn't for what Russell did in the mid-2000s. And he's always going to have... he's always going to have the respect. But there you go. You come in and... I'm not saying tarnishing your legacy, but, you went away as the great showrunner who could do no wrong. He had
Yes.
4 incredible seasons and off he went.
A lot of people think his final is his strongest. Like, people love season 4.
Exactly, and it's so good that you kind of let go of the fact that David's last 2 part is a little bit daft, a little bit silly. But, you let go of it because you're watching it for David to regenerate. Here, though, going into season 2, even though it's already filmed, what I want to see in season 2 is all what we've missed. I want to see a more established Doctor. I want his 2 new companions to have actual worthwhile arcs about them as characters and not just a mystery for marketing's sake. I want this Doctor to be defined.
But they've had no feedback.
If I know if he's went ahead and done
it's
it.
just echo chamber
unless
again.
it was
there's
closed door feedback.
There's no way it's different. I'm worried.
But don't you think because we've thrown in a new assistant, it's down to maybe people going, I don't think Ruby's working?
It's entirely possible. That or she just got something else. But
maybe. But then that already, like, he's going to take it in turns. We're just going to rock up and have another...
Well, they'll be in the TARDIS together. But
yeah.
Who knows? But tell us what you guys thought of it.
Are you as disappointed as we are?
Yeah, did this episode sour the whole season? Because, or were you a bit more on our side and you've just been
It's just
disappointed?
the final shit cherry on top of a pretty shit cake.
Unlucky. Goodbye.